Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Stern Spiel, a podcast with me, Veronica, and my dad, Charlie, where we talk about all things industry-related and musical theater, but also pop culture stuff that's happening, and just kind of our father-daughter dynamic on those things. How you doing today, Dad?
I'm doing okay, Veronica. It's a father-daughter podcast.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. It's a father-daughter dynamic. Yes, I agree. Yes.
Okay.
I'm doing okay. And how is your week? How are you doing?
My week is good. It started out a little bit rocky last week. I got what some call a Midwest flu, which is, I've never heard that term before, but somebody told me that yesterday.
What is it?
I don't think that's what I had. It's just like where you go when you get to the Midwest, like things are just like cooked differently, maybe. And so like your stomach just can't handle it. Because to not give too much information, I was only eating rice for about 48 hours.
Things didn't go right. I understand.
So I was a little bit not under the weather, but I don't know what you call it when like your stomach is just like rejecting you.
Yeah, I got you. So you had, and that was like 36-hour arc.
Yeah. It was
Okay,
pretty
well
rough for a minute there.
let's talk about that from a musical theater context. You know, you're a performer. It's like being an athlete in a lot of ways. So what do you do?
So basically, you know, I was trying to just push through because my load in this show is not as crazy as it was my first time around touring. So, you know, I can like work through if I have a little headache or a little stomach ache, like, you know, I can try to work through it. But it was getting to a point where I was just like not like present on stage because it was just like really starting to get to me. So I did both of the shows on Saturday, but then I woke up on Sunday and I was like, oof, I'm not doing good. And I called you guys and you were like, you need to call out. So I did something called calling out of the show. And that's when you text your stage manager and you say, hey, look, I'm not feeling well enough to do the show today. I need to take a show off.
So calling out is like the musical theater equivalent of calling in sick in a job.
Yeah. And you get like a certain number of sick days and stuff like that. So, you know, I had one. So I used it and I just rested for like the whole day basically. And I think my body ended up really needing that because I was able to do the night show. I was still a little bit like, ooh, I don't know, because I was literally only eating rice.
So you only missed one show. You missed a daytime show, but there was an evening show the same night and you performed, and were you able to be okay?
Yeah, I was okay.
Okay. And the next day you were okay?
And the next day we were traveling. So
okay. And then how does that work? So like who performed that role when you were not able to?
So we have something, well, we have two swings. So a swing is somebody that covers like basically every single track in the ensemble. And that's different from like an understudy because a swing covers multiple roles where an understudy covers just one role, and usually it's like a principal. So a swing went on in my track, and it was actually her debut in my track. So that was kind of fun for her. And that's just what happens. And then the show goes on, and then, you know, if you're feeling better, you do the next one. And if not, that swing will just do the next show.
And that swing did a good performance?
Yeah.
Or as you know?
Yeah.
Good.
I'm sure she killed it.
Good. All right. Well, I'm glad you're back on your feet. And it sounds like, you know, you kind of handled it right. You gave yourself a few more hours to recuperate. That's all you needed. Not a really huge penalty. For anybody, and it's part of what goes on, you know. I mean, it's just like a little bit of a tightrope walk because when you're performing, you gotta be like, you gotta be ready, you gotta be on it, right?
Yeah, you gotta be 100%. And you know, I was noticing that I wasn't like the day before when I was just kind of pushing through. I started noticing I was like, I was tripping over things and like missing, not like missing entrances or anything like that, but just kind of like I tripped over something that had never happened to me before. And like, I forgot to like do like a movement. And I was like, that had never happened to me before. So I was like, oof, okay. I think maybe if I'm not feeling well tomorrow, I probably should like call out.
Right. There was like a distracted feeling, I guess, that, you know, whatever was physically bothering you was rising to the point where you just weren't quite yourself. Well, I'm glad you're back on your feet.
Thanks.
So that's that. So let's talk about something that's going on with me, like right now at this moment, if you don't mind.
Sure. What's up? I'm
Do you
scared.
notice anything? You notice anything different?
You got a haircut?
Yes, I got a haircut, and I'm perfectly happy with the haircut. Um, Carachos and New Rochelle doing a great job. No issue. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
here's what is an issue. They use so much product that I have to wash my hair when I come home. And I
Oh,
did. And I shampooed and rinsed my hair out twice, and I can still smell it. And
really?
and you know what? I'm perfectly happy to keep going there because they do a great job, and there's nothing wrong. I'd go back in a minute. I continue to go back. I found a good place. I used to get my hair cut in the city. Now I get cut there. But this incessant need to over scent everything is a scourge. It's almost like a social problem. And
So
I'm
wait,
thinking, yeah,
is it like the shampoo and conditioner, or is it like the gel they use afterwards? I'm just
it's the
curious.
gel, it's the
The
spray,
hairspray, yeah.
it's the oil that they spray onto the shears that they buzz down your hair with. Everything is scented. Everything.
Interesting.
And one time a guy was wearing gloves while he was cutting hair, and the gloves have a scent. Everything is scented. And I'm like, I don't want to lose control, okay? But I'm saying to you that it's too much. And I've noticed that mommy complains when she comes home from getting her hair done, your mom, um, that her skin breaks out because
Yeah.
they're using products that are very heavily scented. I don't know the chemistry or the physiology of the skin, but this stuff is very irritating and it's very annoying. Like for me, the question I'm starting to ask is, why do things need to be quite so heavily scented?
So it's,
Have people lost their sense of smell? Is that what's going on?
I mean, maybe it's like a COVID thing. I don't think so, though. I mean,
I wonder.
Here's the thing. I think our family is very sensitive to scents because we've never been the
Hmm.
type of family that used like the scented laundry detergent, not all of that stuff. So I will
We
say,
deliberately use the unscented
yeah,
stuff.
I will say our family is very, very sensitive to scents. That's just to start.
Yeah.
Secondly, I will say that one of the worst things about like hotel living is the towels are very heavily scented because I don't know, I guess they want to have the illusion that they're clean or
Hmm.
something.
Right.
So I do find that that bothers me a lot. And I actually purchased something recently in like the last month called Clean Towels, Clean Towel Club. It's like
Hmm.
this box of towelettes. And it's basically, the point of it is because towels hold a lot of bacteria. These are like single use. It's kind of bad for the environment, actually, but they're like
Yeah.
single use, like cloths that you use instead of using like a hotel towel. And I
Okay.
have noticed that my skin has been a lot better because I'm not using the hotel towels that have like the scent and stuff. What?
Time out. Time out. Time out. Did I hear you say it's a club?
It's called Clean Skin Club. Or wait, let me look at what it's called. Hold on.
And is this implies to me that there's some sort of a subscription involved?
It's called Clean Skin Club.
Okay.
And basically they have this, it's called, they say it's time to ditch the face towel.
Hmm.
And they have these towels, these extra large towel cloths that come in like this little box. You
Yeah.
see it?
Yes.
And you can purchase it, and it's basically like single use towels that you can use if you travel. Now,
Okay.
I would not use this like at home because at home you have more autonomy over your towels and how often
Okay.
you wash them. But
So
when
you're
you're
telling me
traveling and
you're
using
telling
and
me
like Airbnbs and stuff.
you're telling me you bought a box of these,
Mm-hmm.
you keep them in your suitcase,
Bathroom. Mm-hmm.
and you use them instead of the hotel hand towels. Because the hotel
Yes.
hand towels are too heavily scented, you got to purchase this other product. See, that's the kind of thing. I think the world has lost its mind a little bit. Okay. What could
Why?
be simpler than a clean towel in a hotel? What could be simpler? All they got
Because
to
the
do.
problem is
Yeah.
the problem is they're sometimes they use heavily scented things. They use bleach, they use all this different type of stuff to keep them sanitized and stuff like that. And if you have really sensitive skin like I do, it just destroys your skin. So that's why I found these towels and I used them. And I honestly, like, my skin looks kind of good right now. Don't look at this side, but like...
Keep doing what you're doing. Listen, if it helps, it helps. All I'm saying is I see advertising on TV for products that remove odor from the body. Okay, you know the kind of product I'm talking about. And
deodorant?
It's a deodorant type of product, but it's like a cream lotion type of thing that you put on all over to reduce body odor. And I guess what I'm getting at is, like, if people are troubled by the smell of their own body, that to me suggests that something is awry. Something deeply biological, deeply chemical, deeply inside the brain, deeply social. There's a problem. There's some kind of a problem if people find their own human characteristics to be so awful that they have to purchase a product to cover it up. There's a hypersensitivity.
Are you talking about perfume? I don't know what you're talking about. This is just bizarre. I don't want to mention a
product name because even though we're a small batch show, somebody might not like it. But there are products out there that are designed to cover up the human body smell. And to me, that's nuts. If you're taking a shower once a day, you're not going to have a big problem. But today, smell is like a whole thing. And I think there's some kind of hypersensitivity. And so we're overcompensating by putting too much into the detergent, too much into the perfume, too much into the everything. Even food has fragrance these days. So if you look look at a bottle of salad dressing, you will see that there's food fragrance in the salad dressing.
Huh. Okay.
Next time you get salad dressing. Anyway, I've talked about it enough. I got it off my chest. But now I'm at the point where I go to get a haircut. I got to come home and wash my hair immediately just to get the scent out of it.
Oh, well. Listen, maybe you can tell them not to use the stuff. Bring your own stuff. If it bothers you that much.
That's not that easy to do. This language barrier.
All right. Well, speaking of things that are very popular right now, I wanted to talk to you about this thing that's happening on TikTok. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it is this woman. Her name is ReesaTeesa. Yeah. She has put out a 50-part audio, like, TikTok compilation, and it's called Who the Blank Did I Marry? Who TF Did I Marry?
Right.
TF meaning who the beep.
No, we know what TF stands for. Go ahead.
Okay.
I've watched ReesaTeesa. It's one of these TikTok things that I know it caught fire, and I don't understand why. Go ahead and tell me why.
So I was avoiding it as much as I possibly could because I don't really like this true crime stuff. I don't care about these stupid trends. Her videos are so long, which is like also the amazing thing about this is like she has 50 parts. Every single one of her videos has over 1 million views, which is just insane.
It is totally insane.
It's an insane thing. So basically to give like a quick summary about what she's doing. So apparently she married a pathological liar, and she chronicles like who she married and like tells the story of like how she got involved with him, how she got bamboozled, like everything. I have not watched all 50 parts because I personally do not have time for that.
I watched about 2 minutes of one and 2 minutes of another, and Veronica, I couldn't take it. It's just too much. I feel like it's too much. Go ahead. I'll explain why.
The phenomenon is just, I think she is a very good storyteller. And then she's also put out these like PSAs about like how to watch her things. She's made a playlist for it. She essentially has said like, I created this series so you can listen to it like an audiobook. She has somehow taken the TikTok platform and has made a new type of content creation. It is absolutely brilliant. I'm waiting for like the news story that says that this woman is some sort of industry plant and this is some sort of like weird, like, you know, type of experiment, and like we all fell for it, but it is absolutely taking the world, at least TikTok, by storm.
Okay, so here's my thought. I watched it for a few minutes. I read about it a little bit, and I don't know sometimes why things catch fire. I have a couple of thoughts. You can relate to her experience. I think millions of people can probably relate to her and like to be spoken to on the level that she's speaking. I think that there's an honesty to what she is offering. In other words, she's not talking down to people.
Mm-mm.
She's not trying to tell people how to live. So she does a few things very well. I think the cadence, the tone that she presents is honest. And I think that there's an audience for. She's facing a life challenge that a lot of people experience on some level
Mm-hmm.
and feeling like they've been conned. I think that there's a broad feeling. I think because of the compromise of a lot of our public institutions, that people feel like they've all lost something. Everybody feels like they've been conned in some way.
Mm-hmm.
ReesaTeesa is like sort of like like the counter to that. She's saying you can be conned and talk about it. And she does it in
Mm.
these videos seem to be what, about 8 minutes each or something like that. So they're short enough to
Yeah, they're
watch.
very long.
Well, they're long by TikTok standards, but 8 minutes is not a 30-minute TV show, right? It's you can waste 8 minutes on TikTok pretty easily. People have eight
Yeah,
minutes.
but the thing is,
She somehow figured out a way to
you have
stop the
to be
scroll.
on the app. You have to be on the app. Like, there's no way to click out of it and just like listen and just like do other things on your phone. 8 minutes on TikTok means people are spending 8 minutes on that app, not like clicking out. And that's
Right.
spectacular that she has found a way to like just engage with these people for this long.
So she's a good storyteller. I agree with
Mm-hmm.
that. She does a couple of things that are counter to the like the popular belief about how things experience virality. So there's a lot of videos on YouTube. So I watch a lot of YouTube. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube about what are the elements of virality. And like Mr. Beast has like tons and tons of videos about virality and YouTube algorithm and how all that stuff works, Veronica.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she's not doing a lot of the stuff that he talks about. Like her videos are her staring into the camera. There aren't a lot of screen interrupts. She's not. She
Yeah.
doesn't. She doesn't cut away very often. Very very seldom does she cut away to anything. There's no subtitles. There's kind of no nonsense there, and yet she's experienced this viral response. So I think she just struck a nerve. Now, having said that, there are no accidents in the world, and
Right.
it's possible because it's TikTok that they're heating this. Are you familiar with that term, heating?
Like they're
Heating,
pushing it out.
yeah, heating is where, somebody pushes a button and they're inserting it into millions and millions of feeds intentionally
Totally.
to really push it. But what you can't fake though is she's done like I look last time I checked it was like 44 of these things.
Yeah, no, there's 50 parts. There's 50 parts. It's a
50
50
parts.
part series. And then she made a PSA that was like, I want you all to listen to this like it's an audiobook. Come back when you want to, listen when you want to, pause
Right.
if you need to, but I'm putting this out as like a cautionary tale and I'm just here to tell my story. And if it helps somebody, great. And if
Yeah.
it's just entertainment for you, that's even better. It's like, it's just wonderful. It's just a great story, you know?
It's a great story, but I don't exactly. I still, someone has to explain to me why it caught on as well as it did, because it didn't catch on with me. And I do like some of these TikToker, trending things. But this one, I don't just like. I wouldn't be interested in hearing about how you married the wrong guy. I just don't. I just don't. I don't have more than a minute for that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of other viral things, have you ever heard of Scandoval?
I have heard of Scandoval. I don't know that much about it because I've never seen the show Vanderpump Rules, but I know that there's this actor who had an affair and things went wacko.
I mean, okay, so the fact that you even know what Vanderpump Rules is shows you how wide of a net Scandoval cast. But basically, like, to give you guys a TLDR, if you don't know what Scandoval is, it's a TV show called Vanderpump Rules. There are people on that show, and one of them had an affair with another person on the show. This affair interrupted this relationship that had been going for 9 years, and it just like kind of like was just the right time, right place, and it just like blew up. But basically, the New York Times recently did a like expose or whatever you call it on Tom Sandoval, who is like the villain in all of this. And the reason why I wanted to talk about it today is because did you see what he said in this article?
I read some of it. Yeah, he said that like his life was turned upside down and he's got people camped out in front of his house for months on end. And he was like public enemy number one.
So there's a quote in the article where he says, "I'm not a pop culture historian, really," Sandoval said, "but I witnessed the O.J. Simpson thing and the George Floyd thing and all these big things, which is really weird to compare this to that. But I think, do you think in a weird way it's a little bit the same?"
In what way is it at all the same?
It's not, but he is just like so like knuckleheaded and like so dumb. Like, I'm sorry, why would you compare Scandoval to George Floyd?
It's not at all the same. I mean, unless he's in a backwards way trying to make an equivalency between the media notoriety of the news story.
Yeah, so
but I don't see it.
I think that he was trying, that's exactly what he was trying to say, but he's just, unfortunately, I hate to say that he's dumb, but like, I just don't think he has like a critical thinking part of his brain is not fully developed or something like that.
Well, you know what? It's like a little bit related it's related to the last thing we were talking about. It's like that lady, whatever her name is, ReesaTeesa, she somehow has achieved media velocity within TikTok. That is absolutely extraordinary. This guy, Tom Sandoval, experienced media velocity totally out of proportion to his situation. I never would have heard of Vanderpump Rules were it not for his particular situation, I'm sure. So I don't know what to say. I mean, it's there is a randomness to why people are interested in these kinds of things, but then things do blow up. I mean, like, let's go back to O.J. Simpson. I don't know why that was such a big story. It could have been, mentioned on the news, O.J. Simpson involved in a murder, and maybe a few people would have been interested in the outcome of it, and it would disappear. But it became the biggest news story on the planet for 2 years.
Right. I guess when you put it like that, I can see where the comparison came in. I think he just lost rails there when he mentioned George Floyd, because I don't know how you can possibly think a racial like travesty that ignited such a movement could be compared to a reality television show affair. Like, that's wild.
Silly. That's silly.
So silly.
Now I understand that his ex-girlfriend, not the one he had the affair with, apparently is like struck it rich off of this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So she was on Dancing with the Stars and now she's on Broadway. So maybe I need to go on reality TV so I can be on Broadway.
I don't think you could select that course of action. It's
no,
impossible.
I'm just joking.
It's impossible. It's impossible. Yeah. You just that's like just getting struck by lightning.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody would ever want to be in their shoes. So it's a once in a lifetime kind of reality television show thing, and it just has not let up, which is wild.
That makes me want to ask you, Veronica, like, how do you feel about the fact that you're a professional actress and you went to school and you learned how to do this and you worked on your craft and you've worked on your instrument and you've worked on your voice all these years, and you're going to continue to do that, and none of us knows where your musical theater journey is going to take you, but how does you, and when I say you, I mean you and your peer group, feel about the fact that there are people who kind of walk out of the woodwork and just get touched by destiny, for lack of a better term, how does that make you feel?
I mean, here's the thing. Specifically, Ariana Madix, she actually did go to school for musical theater.
Okay.
So at first, when they announced it, I was like, this is really random. But of course, like, Chicago is also usually the show that, like, they something called stunt cast, where they put, like, a big star into the leading role and people come and see it for that. So that wasn't a surprise. But I actually don't feel any type of way about it, because I actually watched her on Dancing with the Stars, Ariana, and she was great. And, you know, in a way, she has been working her whole life to get to that point. And
I see.
When they were doing press for it and everything, she even mentioned that. She was like, you know, there are people that work all their lives to get to this point, and I'm no different, because I went to California to, you know, try to make enough money and try to be seen so that I could make it one day and be on Broadway. Like, that was her ultimate dream. So in a lot of ways, I think it's actually pretty admirable what she did. And I don't think anybody feels any type of way like, oh, she's just a reality star, because I think she's so much more than that, and she has proven that. So it's actually really cool to see how it's not, you know, go to school, do a million regional jobs, maybe book a tour, and then make it to Broadway. Like, there's all different types of ways to get to that.
I think that's a totally healthy way of looking at it. I mean, there's just multiple paths, and you don't know quite where any of it's going to take you, but you know, she didn't come out of no place either. I think that's what you're trying to say. Interesting outlook. All right. Well, that makes a lot of sense to me. So we're kind of out of time for today, Veronica. What you got on deck for the next week? What's happening in the next week of Veronica's life on the road?
Gosh, I don't know. I feel like I don't really know. I just have to...
You're on the bus Monday?
Okay, so we're actually flying on Monday. It's going to be my first time flying since that turbulent day.
Right.
2 weeks ago. So I'm a little bit nervous, but, you know, it will be fine. 2 flights again. I don't know why it's always 2 flights, but it is. And
I'll tell you why
great.
it's 2 flights. It's 2 flights because your point A and your point B on these trips are weird places. So there's not going to be direct flights from, like, you know, Podunk point A to Podunk point B. It's just not going to work that way. If you're going when you're going from hub to hub, San Francisco to New York, you get a direct flight.
Yeah.
But when you're going from Louisville to Madison, you're probably not going to get a direct flight.
All right, so I think that was another great episode of the Stern Spiel. Anything going on with you this week?
I don't have anything really special. I got a bunch of things I need to do for your mom, and she's actually on the road also this weekend. So I got a bunch of things I got to take care of while she's away, and got a couple of things to do here around the house. But no, nothing worth reporting on. So,
well, I think that was a great episode. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it or watching it. And if you need a little reminder, we are on YouTube at the Stern Spiel. You can listen anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on social media at Veronica Stern.
At New Charlie Stern. And by the way, that little account that I set up is starting to build up more and more people, because I use it both for this podcast and the other one that I do. But listen, tell people, and I'm telling people, please, it would mean the world to us if you would hit the follow button on those podcasts. If you're listening on a podcast, if you're listening on YouTube, click subscribe. It definitely helps to trigger the algorithm so that more people will find out about it, and you will find out when we do new episodes, which we're trying to do once a week.
All right, well, that makes another great episode. It was good talking to you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.